¿Qué onda? ¿Qué onda? It's your boy Dwell, aka Mr. J, aquí en la casa, de nuevo, hitting you with another one of my vlogs that I'm like I said, that I'm gonna be trying to upload every other day, just to put out more content right there while I get more and more of my podcast going. My podcast is still something I'm working on, trying to move up, trying to get up there where it needs to be. So it's been a slow process, but in the meanwhile, I'm gonna be doing, like I said, videos like this every once in a while on my phone, and every once in a while así in recording type stuff. Yesterday I talked about pretty much that I'm going to Mexico. I'm going to Mexico December 9th. I'll be over there for a couple days in el rancho de mis papás in Michoacan, GRANJENAL. I talked about it real quick, just like I said, just to get something out there. But without coincidence, I didn't talk too much about it. But the other day I grew up in Eastside Santana, and right there a lot of people from GRANJENAL have their homes in that part of Santana, in the east side part of Santana. So it's always, I grew up right there ever since I was a kid. If I didn't live in that area, we'd still go visit that area for some reason. It's always been a tight community. And the other day I got recommended to a guy named Jorge Rodriguez that lives in that neighborhood. And we were chopping it up, and I was telling him, yeah, I grew up here. I told him I used to know everybody around here, not just the kids, but I knew a bunch of adults around here growing up, family, uncles, I always walked these streets pretty much. And as we were talking, and some guy from GRANJENAL came by and he said hello, and like every time I work in that, I don't live in that neighborhood no more. I live in the Memorial Park side of Santana. But yeah, so I was talking to the owner of the property and telling him all that about me as this man walks up, and we were talking, and he was amazed, and he was like, yeah, I've heard of GRANJENAL before, This young homeowner is pretty much about my age, in his 30s. So yeah, we chopped it up. I did the project at his house. I helped him build a little pillar. And he sent me this message, this link today. So I'm gonna read it. Excuse me if I mess up, but it's a little interesting because I was talking about this yesterday, and I got this link today in the morning. And I want to send these shout outs. I read it. Shout outs to Jorge Rodriguez for hooking me up. So this is an article in the Los Angeles Times written by Nancy Seelan, August 4th, 1997. So this is not even written. What was cool, I'm like, it's not even an Orange County Register thing. Somebody outside of here wrote this. And the title se llama In Santana, Mexican Villagers Recreated Community. So yeah, it was real interesting. And when I read it all, I was like, wow, this is cool. This is cool. In my opinion, there's a little bit of things. Obviously, nobody's gonna catch everything, But there's a little things that I think even certain dates are a little off, but by a lot. Because even my dad came here in 1974, just to state that, and that's just my dad, But here I go. I'm gonna read it. This is a Los Angeles Times by Nancy Seelan, In Santana, Mexican Villagers Recreated Community. And once again, hey, excuse my reading. Santa Ana. In a haggard Orange County neighborhood of rental houses and faceless apartment buildings, of litter and rusting shopping carts, the rebirth of a dying Mexican village began. Here near First Street and Grand Avenue in the heart of Santana, the first people from GRANJENAL settled 35 years ago after 2 decades of following crops around the American Southwest under the U.S.-sponsored Bracero program. Hundreds of relatives and friends followed, some with papers, some illegally, as their town in the parched hills of northern Michoacan state emptied. Orange County's fast-growing suburban sprawl created a hungry job market, and GRANJENAL's people developed a reputation as uncomplaining and adept to the low-skilled muscle work that was foundation of the construction trade, digging ditches, pouring concrete, laying irrigation lines, and planting sod. So there is a lot to talk about that in regards to the labor force, because right here in Santana, for the most part, the people from GRANJENAL came here and a lot of them got into the labor, and especially in the labor's union, which for a long time many people and many of their sons also joined the labor's union. Local 562, as my dad was, many of my uncles, cousins, and etc. So for a good while, and I think even today, there's a lot of people still in that labor's union. Not only in that one now, but the labor's 562 was famous for having a lot of people from Granjenal. Their new neighborhood was affordable and more important within walking distance of the labor's union local 652. Sorry if I said it wrong. Where most men reported at 5 a.m. to be trucked to work at the new tracks in southern part of the country. So yeah, I remember even my dad going in the morning when there was when his job was done or he got laid off. He'd go back to the union to report, and he'd hang out there every day pretty much. Newly arrived families shared apartments or houses near each other, slowly recreating the community and cushioning the jolting transition from a rural third world poverty to urban blue collar life. At the time, they helped transform Santana from a city of English speaking, American born Anglos to one that is overwhelmingly Latino and Spanish speaking, and increasingly foreign born. Experiences repeated elsewhere. Their story is typical of immigrant movement from rural areas, a process to anthropologists as network migration. A pioneer establishes a foothold in a place, then serves as a focal point for others, said Leo Chavez, an anthropology professor at UC Irvine. Those who follow cluster together for a generation or two before assimilating into American culture. So yeah, I spoke about this in my other video. There's still people in Granjenal, don't get me wrong, but it's pretty much just the people that have stayed over there, not too many people. So if you really go, you're going to think it's lonely because there isn't too many people over there no more. Everybody's right here. A lot of pretty much, I don't know how much, but a very high percentage of the people came over here. It's a small pueblo, it's a small rancho, but a lot of people came over here, made their families. So now, at certain times of the year, like these times, fiesta times, December times, that's when everybody goes back to visit their homes. Many people have built homes over there, joined by weddings, baptisms, funerals, and Sunday Mass, by twice-a-year dances at the Union Hall. Yep, see, the Union Hall is the labor hall. They used to do dances there all the time. Even people would rent it out during their quinceañeras, bodas, stuff like that. So twice-a-year dances at the Union Hall, and by soccer games that pitted against other immigrants. Even I was part of that. I was part of a team in Granjenal when I was a kid. The people in Granjenal held on tightly to the intimacy of a small town. Over time, however, the immigrants learned that with opportunity and vastly higher incomes came financial pressures, fear of crime, occasional, though still rare, divorce, and unrelenting competition from others with the same dreams. They could not maintain the tranquility and contentedness of rural Mexico and urban America, a place that many of Granjenal's people found to be isolating, immoral, and dangerous. There are things people lose when they leave their roots, and they don't realize it until it's too late, said Francisco Lopez, 59, a construction worker who settled in Santana in 1962 and eventually brought his wife and 8 children north. Lopez would do it again, he said, because he had no choice. He could not have provided for his children by working in his tiny plot of land in Granjenal. Still, the dreams of an easy pace of his hometown where he knew every neighbor and where life presented fewer possibilities, but as a safer and simpler. Yeah, in Granjenal, everybody knows each other. Everybody, and I talked about that in my other video. Everybody knows each other. It's a small community, very small community, but everybody's to some extent real tight with each other. I think of life here as sort of slavery, he said. There's a constant need of work to pay the bills. We have an expression for the life here. We can tell it. We can call it the platter of gold you can touch but never belongs to you. Lopez is a stocky man with soft handshake and small eyes that shine with pride when he speaks at the Orange County tracks. When he speaks of the Orange County tracks he helped build, Mission Viejo, Irvine, Rancho Santa Margarita, Leisure World, a place with big globe. The men of Granjenal built that. The place with the big globe, the men of Granjenal built that. I don't even know where that's at, he said. The same look of pride dances across, I think Leisureland was probably Great Park, because that's where when you're driving down the 5 in Irvine, That's you see the big globe, which is a water air balloon. The same look of pride dances across his face when Lopez recalls his daughter's graduation in June from Santana Century High School in class with 6 other children of Granjenal. I went to Century High School. And when he tells of his son's recent swearing in the U.S. citizen, and I know a lot of people went to, like I said, in the east side part of Santana, there's everybody from Granjenal is spread out in Santana for sure, and everywhere else too. But Santana holds a high of their population, and a lot of them go to Century, and I was one of them, Century and Lathrop. As Americans, his children have more opportunities, said Lopez, whose education ended at 5th grade. That alone justifies sacrifices he made, he said. Yeah, many people don't go to school there, don't go to school over there. Life is poor. But the transition was hard on his generation. For 35 years, Lopez worked back straining jobs. He endured years of separation from his family, and once they joined him here, he struggled to pay for rent, food, and clothing. Even now, he struggles. Every morning at 6, Lopez reports to the Union Hall. There we go, the Union Hall, a beige one-story building that has become a second home to Granjenal's immigrants. In a windowless back room, he joins dozens of men from his hometown at a large round tables where he plays cards, banters, and waits for his name to be called. Lopez, who is paid only when he works, has waited for months. Yeah, a lot of. I mean, that's everywhere. Not. Sometimes when work runs out, you're waiting, and you're part of somewhere. And if you leave, sometimes you can't. They're not gonna call you, or you can miss your opportunity. You go work for another company which is not union, then you're gonna be missing out on pay, and by the time you're done over here and you wait in line, you can probably even get in trouble. During Orange County's 3-decade-long building boom, he and other Granjenal men prospered. But work is scarce now, in part because more jobs are non-union and there is more competition from younger immigrants. Despite for work, many Granjenal men have followed construction jobs at Las Vegas or Arizona, forming yet another set of communities and repeating the pattern of living apart from their families. But 350 Granjenal immigrants continue to pay their $24 a month union dues, compromising more than 1/10 of the locals' membership, according to the members. Yeah, like I said, that was a driving force. The people from Granjenal held down the labor's union. To make ends meet, Lopez and his wife moved with his son, who is buying a home in Santana. Like many of his generation, the son has become his father's hope for the future, something better with their lives. Born to parents with grade school education, many of Granjenal's new generation have finished school and college. They hold jobs as secretaries, court interpreters, police officers, teachers, real estate brokers, small business owners, and now general construction owners. Peace, talking about me. The extended Granjenal family also includes a psychologist, 2 attorneys, and 2 doctors. I stayed away a lot from a lot of people from Granjenal, Not that not purposely, it's just life takes you somewhere else. I talked about that in my other video. I just hung around with more the street people of Santana. They became my people I met out here. Not even people from school, just people that I met in the streets. And my immediate family, which is my mom's side of the family. I don't even have too much communication with my dad's side of the family for certain reasons. The older generation wanted us to study hard and do something better with our lives, said Robert Maldonado, 36, whose father, Epitacio, was one of the original 8 men from Granjenal to settle in Santana 35 years ago. That's where they say, that's where I'm saying, I don't know if they have their number right, because one of the 8 members who originally settled in Santana 35 years ago, like I said, my dad alone was here in 1974 when he got here. They wanted us to be more than construction workers. Maldonado, who was brought north when he was 4 years old, and his 3 children owned a Costa Mesa takeout restaurant called Taqueria Granjenal, and sponsors of one of the 3 Granjenal soccer teams in Santana. His team won the Orange County Soccer League championship in June, the second time in 5 years. Yeah, like I said, I even played soccer for them when I was younger. But like many of his hometown friends, Maldonado has drifted away from his roots as he moved toward the middle class. It's been 5 years since he visited Granjenal. Several years ago, he bought a house in Irvine and left the old Santana neighborhood. Better schools, better community. My children come first, Maldonado said. I've got to think about them. For hundreds of Granjenal immigrants, however, some continue to be a corridor of rental houses and massive apartment blocks between Santana, Main Street, and Grand Street. When the first Granjenal pioneers settled here, less than 1/5 of the city's residents were Latino, and less than 1/10 were foreign-born. But as scores of towns like Granjenal sent workers to California, Orange County's ethnic map changed radically. The change accelerated after 1986 when the U.S. amnesty law granted legal residency to 3 million undocumented immigrants nationwide, including 140,000 in Orange County. Many workers could then bring their family members north. Now, according to the state's estimates, slightly more than half of Santana's 305,000 people were born outside the United States, and about 69% are Latino. Among the county's new faces are those of Maura Guillen and her 7 sons, who come north 2 years ago to join Maura's husband Alburillo in a sprawling apartment complex in south central Santana called the Country. The boxy brown building, separated by narrow rows of clipped grass and spindly tiers, bear no resemblance to the sparsely settled Granjenal courtside. Neighbors are close enough to hear each other cough, but most do not even know each other's names. I don't even know some of my neighbors' names here. The 7 Guillen brothers, ages 12 to 26, squeeze into one bedroom. Maura and Alburillo share the other. Timid and afraid of losing her way, Maura Guillen rarely ventures outside. She spends her days tidying the rooms and cooking for her large family. A soft, motherly woman with a gracious smile, Maura Guillen. You know what? She might even be related to me because my dad's dad was Valencia, so that's how I'm a Valencia, but my grandma was Guillen. She says she had dreamed of coming north for years. Now she's not sure it was a good idea. The family is together. At least 3 sons are in school, and the rest are working in the factories, on construction sites, and in the auto parts store. For that, Maura is grateful. But their lives are limited by fear and isolation. Most evenings, the boys, tall and gangly, straggle from school to work, walk through the sliding glass door, and stay inside until morning. The family gathers on a black sofa on peeling vinyl and watches television to kill hours. Every morning, Alburillo and his oldest son go to the union and sign up for work. Most days, they return home disappointed. The family is saving for a down payment on the house, but at this rate, they could be confined to the apartment for years, said Alburillo, compact, muscular man of 56. Afraid of the streets after he was accosted by gang members one night, Alburillo said he has another equally great fear, that all his sacrifice, his sons won't succeed. After all that sacrifice, his sons won't succeed. Success, but danger too. Mothers in Granjenal say sons raised in California grow taller and have greater chances of success by attending high schools and college. But there are trade-offs. The ever-present fear of gangs, drugs, and violence. Especially when this was written in 1997, Santana was pretty hot, man. I remember as a kid, gunshots every night. Right now it's cool, you know what I mean? Right now it's cool. You look for trouble, you're gonna get it. But I think right now it's cool due to certain things like drugs. I think drugs is more of a main thing than gangs now, which is scarier. You know, at the end of the day, I mean, not all the gangsters do drugs. Not all the gangsters become addicts, even if they do try drugs. Right now it seems like what's roaming the streets like that is the drug people, and I think that's more scarier. I wouldn't like my kid to be homeless or on drugs, especially on drugs. The Guillensons have avoided such problems, but the price has been confinement and isolation. In Granjenal, you can go walking in the afternoon. You can even walk the night, said Jose Guadalupe Guillen, 16, a junior at Saddleback High School. Here, people look down when they walk. They all look depressed. Everywhere you look, there's such pressure. 30 years ago, when Granjenal had no electricity or running water, the advantages of moving north were clearer, said Vicenta Maldonado, who came here with 6 children to join her husband, Timoteo Tapia. Tapia was another of the Granjenal pioneers. He left the village in 1943, joining tens of thousands of Mexican workers hired to replace Americans who had gone to war. He moved to Santana after becoming a legal resident. Tapia brought his family north as soon as he could, and then settled into the rickety 2-bedroom apartment above Mexican food market called La Chiquita, a few blocks from the Santana train station. They lived there still, 31 years and 26 grandchildren later. Maldonado, a tiny woman with strong, plucky voice, vividly recalls the day she arrived, March 1966. I liked Santana right away, a lot more than Granjenal, she said. For one thing, I didn't have to make tortillas by hand anymore. tortillas by hand anymore. Along with electricity and running water, Santana had buses and taxis, health clinics, supermarkets, and public schools through the 12th grade, all which Granjenal lacked. Life is better here, said Maldonado, who took the oath of U.S. citizenship in the early July. That's why we came. And that's the end of the article. Once again, this article is in the Los Angeles Times. Written in give me a minute. I have to scroll back up. Written in August 4, 1997 by Nancy Seelan. Once again, thanks to Jorge Rodriguez for sending me this link. It was real cool to read that. It was real, especially what a coincidence. I'm going to Mexico. I'm going to Granjenal after many years. I'm going to the fiestas, which I've never really experienced. And which they say are super big, and it's probably couple days of partying, fiestas, and so it was a good coincidence. I made a video about this yesterday, but now this article just came right in hand. So, at least people that know, you're gonna know there's a lot of people in Granjenal right here in Santana. So if you see one, not from my experience, we're not too bad of people. We grew up with good morals, and we're pretty friendly people. Just like anybody. We try not to mess with nobody. We pretty much like to have a good time, at least from what I know. So say what's up to your Granjenal people out there. Pues sí, that's my video for today. Just wanted to show that. Hope you guys like it. You can find the link at the LA Times. I'll try to post it right here. But stay tuned for more videos. Peace.